Hey crafty friends! Today we are going to make a double page scrapbook layout using this bright, beautiful new collection called Celebratory Sips from Stampin' Up. I love the beautiful watercolor effects and brilliant colors. There's also lots of geometric kind of patterns or subtle background patterns that work for so many different things. I can see making summer layouts and all kinds of really fun pages, from everyday moments to special celebrations. Today, I am actually going to be scrap lifting my friend, Crafty Concepts with Erin. I'm a little late to the party. We've been dealing with some sickness and other things going on in our house, so that's why you haven't seen a video from me in a couple weeks. But I didn't want to miss out on this chance to celebrate Erin's 30,000 subscriber milestone. And so I'm going to make a layout today with this gorgeous paper based on one of her pages. I'm just going to put the picture up here on the screen so you can see what her layout looks like and what is inspiring me. I believe Paper Therapy with Amy used the exact same page to base her design off of, but I didn't notice that until I had already prepped everything and I was ready to film. So hopefully it will be an interesting look at different takes on this layout. What drew me to this page was I have pretty much the exact same pictures as Erin from this event. This was Maui in 2022. It was Erin's first incentive trip, and it was our first time meeting in person. We went out to dinner that night with my husband, Cody, and her husband, Mike, and just had a really nice visit and getting to know each other. And so I have some pictures from the restaurant. This was actually the restaurant that we ate at, and then the view, it was super gorgeous. And I thought, how easy would that be to just scrap lift her layout with almost the same pictures? I did print my pictures with a white border, so these are not matted, they're just printed with a white border. But I am going to switch up the paper collection. I also thought I might bring in this woven textures paper. This is such a good neutral pack. It has so many different basket weave, and Erin actually used one of the other patterns on her layout, which gave me the idea to use this one. So I think we might combine that in with this pack, and there is a lot of paper on this layout. Erin has a lot of large layers. So now I just need to figure out which papers I'm going to be using. I apologize if I'm still a little bit stuffed up sounding. I've been waiting for my voice to clear from being sick before I filmed a video, but this is as good as I could get it, and I didn't want to miss this opportunity to celebrate Erin. So hopefully you don't mind if we just roll with it. So I think I'm going to want to have some of this on each of the pages. And I am looking at Erin's layout to kind of see where she has brighter patterns, where she has darker patterns. That's kind of the fun of scrap lifting somebody, is you can kind of take a hint from what they already did, figuring out what kind of patterns look good. This one I really like because it's super subtle, almost looks like cardstock, but we got a subtle pattern there, and this is in that new Secret Sea color, so it's super dark blue. Now I love this pattern, but I just don't think it's going to work the way I want it to on this layout. So I am going to save this for a layout that I think will be better suited to it. Erin has kind of her busier floral pattern sort of just right here in the middle. So I'm going to look at a couple of options for a busier pattern. I kind of want to fill the spots with similar to what she did. So she had a woven texture right here, so I'm going to put this one in. She had a dark, I think she started out with a dark pattern and then she went with cardstock, but it's a very dark color in the back. I think she used black. This is another busy option that could work. This one could also work, but I'm thinking I want to save this one maybe for embellishments because those will cut out really nice. In fact, there is a stamp and die bundle that coordinates with this collection, and you can see you can customize all your little drinks, and it has some little sentiments to go along, even like a little umbrella. Got an olive there, ice cubes. And then for the die set, we have these two glasses here, and they do cut out some of these ones, not the ones that have the things coming out the top, but the plain glasses will cut with these dies. So that is an option too for some of our embellishments. also have this one that is a busier pattern, and then I also have this one, which is busier. I don't think the flowers really give me the right vibe. This is Hawaii, and we are going out for dinner and drinks, and so I'm thinking either something like with the fruit, or probably not this floral one either. I want something that can introduce a lot of colors. I do really like this one. That's one of my favorite patterns from this collection. So I think this might be our winner. I want to go ahead and bring my photos onto here so we can just kind of have a look at how the papers look with my photos. I have a picture of the flamingos and the koi fish at night, which looked really pretty. So there was a couple, I think there was 1 or 2 pictures that Erin had that I didn't have. And I could have probably asked her for them, but I had other good ones that I can use too. So these are going to go something like that. And then Erin also had a strip going along here. Hers was cardstock. And I can either pull in some cardstock or I could do a super subtle pattern that basically reads like cardstock. You can see very tone on tone. I love those kinds of patterns. You can see I have one there and then one here. So it's a lot of different patterns, which I don't normally do. Quite often I'll have more cardstock than pattern paper, and sometimes that's just because I find it difficult to mix the patterns. But Erin does a really good job of that. Now she also double matted her photos. So I could leave these just with white. I think that would look pretty good, except for here where it overlaps this piece, because the white is the background, you kind of lose that edge. So Blackberry Bliss is one of the colors that are in this collection. And I could bring that one in to map my photos. This is another really nice color because it is purple, but it's so dark. It's similar to Secret Sea where it has that hint of color, but it's so dark, it's almost like a neutral. And it's also in this paper collection, so it does tie in. I don't really have any black in here, so I don't want to use black. The other option is I could use Secret Sea. Maybe I'll try that too. All right, this is the Secret Sea color. It actually looks a little bit lighter than the pattern paper. That's interesting. I think that definitely works. Just a matter of, do I like that better than the purple? Okay, that's something I'm going to have to think on as I keep working here. I'm always partial to purple, and I do love the richness of this particular color. Now in her sketch, she also has a little bit of this pattern coming down the side as well as this one, this dark one. So I think what I'm going to do is cut down my pieces and I'm going to get them situated, and then hopefully I can make a final decision on my photo mats. All right, I'm just laying everything out here, trying to find a good placement. I did notice that Erin's photos are slightly smaller than mine. So mine are true 4x6s, and that just leaves me a little bit less room to work with. Plus this one is slightly larger. My computer printed it instead of a 4x4 at like 4¼ inches tall. So mine is just a little bit larger than 4x4. A lot of real estate taken up with my photos, and so my placement I think is just going to be slightly different than hers in order to make room for everything. I did decide to go with that purple, so the Blackberry Bliss, in just 1/8 of an inch matte. So these are 4 1/8 by 6 1/8. Just gives me a nice little dark border around the outside without being too large. Since my photos are larger anyways, I didn't want to go any bigger. I think I might want to either ink the edges of my paper or maybe distress the edges with like a distressing tool and kind of rough them up just to add some distinction between the layers. Since we got a lot of layers happening here, there's another little strip of the drinks paper over here and a strip of this color here. I think it looks really good to match this end to end. That's what Erin did as well, and it just helped to tie it in. I usually always like to have whatever's going on this side, whatever patterns are on this side, show them somewhere on the other side so that it all flows really nicely together. Now, when it comes to embellishments, I was kind of thinking about what I want to use, and it just so happens I have a container of hibiscus flowers. These are from the Happy Hibiscus. Funny enough, this is left over from pieces that I had die cut for Jama's 20K celebration. And I was at the time, I'm like, oh, I'm making too many, but oh well, I'm sure I'll use them sometime. So this is from the Happy Hibiscus stamp set. I believe I used Melon Mambo and Pretty in Pink. And I think it goes pretty well with what we have going on this page. Plus it's Hawaii, so that also works. I had also cut some of these leaves, which are from an old Close to My Heart die set. So those will work in nice. Those are Granny Apple Green in the two-tone cardstock. So you have the dark and the light. I do have some sand dollars, but I'm not sure if I want to use these. This is from the Seaside Wishes set. I also have some starfish. The colors would go, funny enough, but I'm not sure if I want to use those. And then I also have some palm leaves. These are in the Granny Apple Green as well. And this is an old Close to My Heart set. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is we do have that drinks paper. So with all these pretty options, and since we are out to dinner, you can see there's drinks on the table. Could definitely bring some of those into my clusters, kind of have them maybe as the center of my cluster, and then just have a couple flowers around it. My goal with my clusters is going to be to try and keep them a little bit more reined in. If you watch the video I did for Jama's 20K, I went big. I had massive embellishment clusters on that layout. And for this one, I want to go a little bit more in Erin's style because she always has just enough embellishment. Her embellishment clusters are not over the top, but they're like the perfect middle ground. It's not too little and it's not too much. So that is going to be my goal. I'm usually the bigger is better, more embellishments, but I'm going to try and rein it in today and keep them a little bit smaller. So I'm going to cut a few options out of this pattern paper. Remember, some of them do work with the dies if they don't have any garnish kind of coming out the top. I really like the garnishes, so we'll see. I might just fussy cut. When I'm fussy cutting, I like to rough cut out first, and then I'm going to just start trimming around. And just keep in mind to move your paper and hold your scissors kind of still. So my left hand is moving the paper and my scissors are doing the work, but I'm just squeezing them. I'm not really moving them. I am leaving a little white border, and the reason I'm doing that is because I am combining it with die cuts that have white borders, and this way it will fit in a little bit better if I leave the white border on there instead of trying to cut right on the line. For me, I kind of choose how I want to do that based on what I'm cutting out and what project it's going on to. I do think it's a little bit easier, so if you're a beginner to fussy cutting, it's probably easier to leave a little white border, and then you can leave kind of those inner parts that have white because it goes a little bit more with the style. Whereas if I was cutting right on the line, I might want to go right into these little crevices and cut that white out of there. I love this beautiful watercolor style of these images. It's super pretty. There is going to be one cluster here and one cluster here. I'm going to go off camera here and just cut out a few more options for drinks, and then I'm going to work on building these clusters. Okay, I have a couple of drinks on each page. Basically going to do 2 embellishment clusters and then tags up here, just like Erin has on her layout. And now I'm just going to try and figure out how I want to add flowers into the mix here. I have some of these that are embossed because the Happy Hibiscus has a 3D embossing folder, and it cuts and embosses all at the same time. Really is just a process to see what's going to layer together well and what do I like the looks of the best. I think I'm almost there. You know, when I'm building clusters, it's really just one step at a time, just the next thing, and then see when we're done, when we're happy with what we've got. And then I'll have to decide if I want like the drinks on top so that maybe they stand out a little bit more. Maybe this one come down here and have the green kind of come out from behind it like that. Okay, I know this one's looking a little big, but I'm happy with how it's looking. And I think it's a good balance between all the different elements. And I think this one is looking good as well. So this is where I'm going to leave it, I think. I'll just need to go and attach everything down. I forgot to attach my base layers before I started building my cluster. I'm going to need to save this. So I'm going to see if I can maybe pick this up with some press and seal. So I have just some Glad press and seal here. This is a little bit stickier than like a regular plastic wrap. So I'm just going to push it on here. I'm trying to avoid my photos and just see if I can pick up all my embellishments kind of roughly how I want them to be. And then I don't have to reconfigure my whole cluster just so that it's handy. And then I can add glue to it and flip it back onto my page. This one went a little bit askew, but I think it should be okay. Then I have to decide what I want to do with these edges, if I want to ink them or edge distress them. All right, I think I'm going to go with Secret C to do my edges. I like using one of these foam applicators for doing edges because then I can just hit the very edge and I don't need to bring the ink a long ways on. I find if I use blending brushes for this, the ink just gets too out of control and ends up way farther into the paper than I want it to be. This way it can stay right on the edges. I have placed all my photo mats except for this one, and that's because I want to make this one a pocket. And since it's going to be a pocket, I want to use my liquid glue because that will make sure that whatever I put in here, the tags that I'm going to put in here, they won't stick. Sometimes if you use your tape runner, you'll run into problems with the tags going down in and sticking on the edge of that dry adhesive. So using liquid glue is a great idea for pockets. If you are in our creative design team membership, then you know this month we've been talking all about pockets and there's been tons of different ideas of cool ways to use pockets on your layouts. If you are a member, hop over there. And if not, and you want to be on the wait list for when we open up the membership next, go ahead and click the link that's down in my description. Now we're going to go over here to our embellishment clusters. I don't want to put any glue on the drinks that I cut out. I'm just going to put glue on my leaves and flowers that are showing. I'm going to do that fairly lightly, my little sand dollar, and then also these leaves over here, a little bit of that flower that is showing. The drinks, one of them went on a little bit crooked, so I want to wait to adhere that on until I can kind of fix it. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and press, and then I'm going to carefully start peeling this off. Now anything on the top here that does not have glue or enough glue on it is going to come up, which is fine. Now I could go ahead and put glue on this layer, press it down, and just keep going like that. But I think what I'm going to do instead is just peel these off because I know that the one was crooked anyways. So I'm going to pull that off and then I can just place these last couple of flowers where I want them. Okay, I think I'm going to put this red one down solid, like flat. And then I think maybe I'll use some foam tape on this orange one. Okay, I decided to disassemble this a little bit and I want a little bit more flowers down here. So I took one of these medium-sized flowers and I'm just going to tuck it under the bottom of my glasses here. We'll just rotate that a little bit so that cut edge is hidden. And then I'll grab another one of these little flowers. Put that right there. And then I'm going to add another one just over here. Now these do have little score lines on each petal, so I could be like creasing these and folding them. I could also bend up the petals a little bit to give them some movement. It's really up to you what you prefer. You can see I have added a Cricut title. This is print then cut, and I did it in the same purple color. And I'm trying to decide if it's too big. I cut it out once and it was too small, and then I think maybe I overcompensated and went a little large, but I'm kind of over trying to get this the right size. And it does fit on this green strip pretty nice. So I'm thinking I might just leave it even though it is kind of large. I think it still works and it does balance with my clusters. For my journaling, I went ahead and printed out, made a little text box and printed this out so that it can fit on this tag die. This is an old Close to My Heart tag die. And I'm just going to rough cut around this and then I will send it through my die cutting machine. Okay, here is my tag. And I pulled some ribbon. This one is the pecan pie stitched ribbon. And I'm thinking maybe what I want to do is put it through the tag like this, and then maybe just tie it off with some of this twine. This is the linen thread, and it is a little bit more cool toned than the ribbon. That ribbon is a little on the creamy side, but I think because of this paper, I think it will work okay. Need to grab my actual ribbon scissors. The ones that never cut paper, so they're actually sharp and can cut my ribbon. So for my story, I just wrote about how this trip was the first time meeting Erin in person and how much fun it was to just go out for dinner and spend some time getting to know her and Mike. You know, it's so funny to spend so much time talking with people online and then actually meeting them in person. It's really fun. I cut another little tag out of the same green pattern paper because I want to layer this up, and this is going to be a home for some of my embellishments. Now, I think I want this tag to maybe go a little bit farther down. I have a little bit here that I could zip off the end. I'm just going to do that and see if I like that a little bit better. Yeah, I do like that better. Okay, and then I want to repeat the same treatment on here with a little bit of ribbon. I'm going to have to make this one shorter, I think. Okay, now before I stick this one down in here, I just want to see what this would look like with a little bit more embellishment. Just kind of have a leaf poking out there, maybe a little flower. Or maybe I want this flower in here for a little bit of pink. Okay, I think that's gonna work. So then I can just go ahead and glue this down. All right, we have another little finishing touch to put on here. On Erin's, she had a little banner going across, and I thought I'd like to replicate that. In my little bin of die cuts, I had this banner. I think it was actually left over from a card kit. I thought maybe I could use the cheers to you or cheers to us. Thinking because it's all of us, I'm going to say to us. And I'm going to use the Secret Sea ink. And I could put it along here, but I was also thinking I could cut off this end and tuck it so it's coming out here. And I think that is probably what I want to do because my sentiment isn't going to be quite long enough to kind of fill up this whole space. So I'm going to stamp it a little bit closer to the right side. The to us is actually quite small. I want to make sure I don't press on that too hard. And then I'm going to trim off this edge, even a little bit more than that. And then we'll just let that kind of poke out there. I think that should work good. And because I have these popped up, I'm going to put this banner flat. Oh, you know what I should do? I should ink that edge, just so it matches the other things. And while I'm thinking of it, I didn't ink the edge of my white tag, so I should also do that. Once I start inking edges, I like to finish that with everything being inked. So it's either everything is inked or nothing is inked. So my title is now attached. It's up on Dimensionals, so it has a little bit of height. And my last decision I need to make is what I want to add for a little bit of bling. I think these clusters need a little bit of sparkle, and I do want to put some in the center of these little flowers. I have the holographic resin dots, which actually coordinates with this collection. It definitely looks super shiny, holographic, and it does have a green tint to it, so it will match perfectly. But I also have the Strawberry Slush and Pretty in Pink gems, and those also go really beautifully with this collection. They're kind of clear with gold little flecks in them, and there are 3 colors. We have clear with gold flecks, we have a light pink, and the darker pink. Okay, what settles it for me is when I put it over the background, these ones stand out more. So I think these are the ones I'm going to go for. I'll start off just doing the flower centers, and then I'll see what else I want to add. Okay, you know what? I think I'm maybe not going to put any more gems around. I do see places where I could add them, but because I spread out my flowers pretty evenly in like little triangles, I feel like that really makes a balanced look once I add the gems to them. These are so gorgeous in person. I'm going to bring it up here so hopefully you can see how glowy they look. Like they are super reflective, really pretty. And also so you can see the texture going on in these clusters. We got embossed pieces, stamping, layered die cuts. And then of course we have the visual texture just of the printed paper, which adds another element to it all with our big title there. And then up here we have more texture with our ribbons and threads. Of course, a little interactive element with our tag that pulls out. I'm super happy with how this turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the process of this coming together. Go ahead and check out the playlist here of all the other creators who joined in to celebrate Erin. And if you'd like to see more from me, you can check out this video linked here. And I will see you again soon.